I didn't catch that.
I was just going to say, is messaging you first or just calling the best way to get in touch first?
Well, if you message me and you don't get a response for a while, that means that I didn't get the message.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, sure. Okay.
But if you call, I'll hear it, and then I can do something about it.
Yeah, no worries. All good.
So, what's your question?
Okay, so I've been practicing for quite a while with meditation, and I've managed to increase my number of sessions per day because I found that, especially after hearing you talk about anapadasati and that sort of attitude of joy and accomplishment, and I sort of realized that I wasn't doing enough regular practice to top me up to really feel like I was making progress. So,
right. Well, I hope you stop trying to make progress.
No, that, well, yeah, that, I was. It's not so much progress. It was like I realized that the post meditation sessions, the benefit I was getting from the sessions wasn't lasting well. Like the good thing I was getting from the sessions wasn't maintaining in between sessions. So since I've upped the number of sessions, I'm in a much more even with my awareness and mindfulness in between sessions, which is good.
Okay.
Feels really good. And the other thing about it was just motivation to practice was wavering with me. And the big thing I've taken away from hearing you talk about this is the importance of noticing the joy, noticing the accomplishment, that sense of achievement and that positivity, because that's certainly something that had kind of gone a bit stale with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so increasing the sessions, having more sense of getting into that good state, which I can do. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I can do it fairly easily if I do it, but also then then sort of celebrating that and go, yeah, that's it. That's great. That little bit of extra energy has seemed to really broken me out of a bit of a slump, which is great. I'm really pleased with it. So I guess, yeah. So that's the main change I've made, is to have a look for that joy, look for that restful and happy state, which I get a lot when I practice anyway.
Okay.
But it seems
Is there a question in there someplace?
So I'm just asking, do I need to, because that idea of pity, that pity state or that very focused state, with that huge sense of feeling behind it, my mood state in practice is generally calm, content, but I wouldn't say, I don't know how else I would describe it. It's not a really high kind of emotional state as far as feeling amazing or anything. It's more gentle, calm, settled, and focused. Okay.
So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, but I'm happy with that. I get, that's all I'm really doing is a minor course corrections by checking in with you and going, yeah, I can keep doing it.
Right.
The other thing that's happening is I'm getting a lot of happy memories from childhood and a lot of blissful kind of memories coming through, which I think is part of me, because the main thing that's been my barrier is I experience a lot of anxiety in general. I've got a whole lot of anxiety. And so I wasn't really being able to function well with the anxiety in between sessions until I ramped up the number of sessions. And that seems to have made a difference.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I've been trying a lot of other tools, like psychological tools and various, therapy tools and that, to manage it. And I was kind of feeling a little bit down that the practice wasn't helping as much as I hoped it would. But since I've done the increase, it's good. Yeah, I guess that's it, Dhammarato. I just wanted to check about that because I'm not like 100% familiar yet with the idea of first jhana. But I think because I've been practicing for a while, I'm probably already experiencing a lot of it, and just don't know that that's it, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Based upon what normally happens, And what normally happens is what I would call Western Buddhism, which is, let us say, the new kid on the block and the one that's furthest away from the actual teachings of the Buddha. And so the thing that we can do here is to reestablish what the actual teachings of the Buddha actually are.
Yeah.
And that the first thing is that the issue of seclusion, that the Buddha recommends to go to the forest, to a foot of a tree, to an empty hut, or to a pile of straw, and sit down and bring sati, right here now. It translated to mindfulness to the fore, but it actually means right now. And nowhere in there is there anything about formal sitting practice, which is all the rage nowadays. All right. And there's a lot of reasons why that would be there. Some of it comes from Burma, and some of it comes from, let us call them Buddha rupas, or statues of the Buddha, which came many centuries, by the way, after the Buddha. In the time of the Buddha, the thing that represented Buddhism was three things. One was a tree, the other one was the Bodhi leaf, and the third one is the Dhammachakra. And the Dhammachakra either has 8 or 12 wheels, depending upon the point. The 8-pointed wheel would be the Eightfold Noble Path, and the 12-pointed wheel or spoked wheel would be for the Paticca Samuppada.
Yep.
But back to the Buddha Rupa and what we now call, in fact, I was almost waiting for you with anticipation that you would use the word formal, because the Buddha did not recommend or give a formal practice.
Yeah.
And that people see the sitting on the floor as part of the formal practice, to where the reality is that sitting on the floor was what everybody did. They still do it in India. They still do it in Thailand. They sit on the floor to eat here in Thailand. So sitting on the floor, that in fact, at the Chicago, in, I think it's Dhammarato, they bought an old Baptist church property, and for years there was a debate about whether they were going to take the pews out of the sanctuary so that they could have a bare floor. And a lot of people voted, yeah, let's take them things out because we don't need pews, we can sit on the floor. And a lot of people say, hey, there are people who can't sit on the floor in the West. And the reason for that was basically because we were yanked off the floor when we were 3 years old or 2 years old and put into a high chair. And then we sit at desk and all of that. And so the sitting on the floor is not part of the practice, actually, but the Buddha does talk about all 4 postures, in the sense of standing, walking, lying, and sitting, whether you're sitting in a chair or on the floor.
Good.
So this is the whole point about the formal practice.
Yeah, I'm just getting a bit of paper. Okay.
All right. The whole point about the formal practice is that actually prevents people from actually practicing what needs to be practiced. And what needs to be practiced, in the sense of that bringing mindfulness to the fore, is to know what you're thinking when you're thinking it.
Yeah.
To remember to look at what we're doing. So in the actual practicing is that we remember that thoughts of the past, thoughts of childhood are not actually part of the practice. We have thoughts of childhood when we're not practicing. And that's okay. We're not practicing all the time. But when we are practicing, we're practicing in this present moment. What's happening right here, right now? And bringing in the Eightfold Noble Path, we talk about various parts of it. I don't want this discussion today to be a full-on Eightfold Noble Path talk, but rather more of how to practice. Now, in the Eightfold Noble Path, it is listed in two different ways. One is Sila Samadhi Panya. You probably heard those three words before. Sila Samadhi Panya.
Yeah, I'm reading that right at the moment in the Seeing with the Eye of Dharma book by Buddhadasa. Yeah.
Now, there are two levels or two methods of practice. The Sila Samadhi Panya, which means that it winds up in Panya, is actually the starting point for the Noble Path. We start with Panya, Sila, Panya, Samadhi, Sila. We wind up with good behavior. So in the normal, ordinary world where people start, we start by trying to behave ourselves. But here, we start with Sila only in the sense of getting away from other people, literally getting away from other people, and mentally getting away from other people to get into seclusion. And that's all the Sila that we need. If you're not thinking about anybody and you're not seeing anybody, it's really hard to hurt them, to kill them, to rob them, to lie to them, because they're not in the mind, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so what we're doing is we're starting with wisdom or Panya, and in that regard, we remember to be in this present moment. And what really the Panya is the investigation. Now, you probably heard about the term right noble view. A right noble view is not a viewpoint. It's not a world view. It's not a way of looking at things. Rather, it is actually an investigation. Investigating right now what the mind, what the body, what the feelings, what the environment is doing right this very moment. Okay? And this is how we practice, and that we remember then to look and see what we're doing right here, right now, or what we're thinking or what we're feeling, etc., and then make a change. The third aspect of the Eightfold Noble Path, as specified in Majjhima Nikaya number 117, the Great 40, has these three things in that order. That right view comes first, but we have to remember to right view, to look. And then right noble effort is to make a change. Now, in the sutta, it actually talks about seeing unwholesome thoughts as unwholesome thoughts and to change them to wholesome thoughts. And the easy way to understand unwholesome thoughts would be if you're thinking about someplace else, if you're thinking about something you're not doing, like working, if you are not in the present moment, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, thinking about somewhere else, thinking about something else, that would be considered, in this practice, unwholesome.
So I just want to clarify, when the memories are coming up, it's often associated with the feeling of joy that I'm having, but I'm pretty familiar with not grabbing onto those thoughts and just staying back in the present moment. So you're saying that's important, even though the thoughts might be very joyful ones about the past, I need to continue.
Think about the joyfulness right now.
Yeah, exactly, which is what I'm doing. So that's great. So I'm managing to. I've got a pretty good ability to stay with that. Once I turn my mind to it, I can do it. I just need to be confident that that's what I should do. Great, thank you.
All right.
That's
so
brilliant.
this is the right noble effort. Now, there are several places where the right noble effort is referred. One of the ways to refer to right noble effort in the sense of unwholesome thoughts would be hindrances. You've no doubt heard about Panchanava, or the five hindrances.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want something, if you don't like something, if you're worried, if you're thinking about something, if there's doubt about the practice and all of that kind of stuff, that's actually going to hinder you. Those are unwholesome thoughts. Okay? Yeah. So if we can then come and have wholesome thoughts, what would be some examples of wholesome thoughts? Would be, wow, this feels good. Wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
No place to go and nothing to do. And the spring comes and the grass grows by itself is Japanese haiku.
Yeah.
Bushu wrote that. Okay. So
That,
these are the kind.
That's the bit I'm missing. That's the bit I was missing, which I'm now using much more often. And that is kind of like adding a huge amount of fuel to my practice now. So yeah, great.
Right. Okay. Well, to reference, there was a man who died, or a monk who died in 1982. His name was Mahasi Sayadaw. And there is a strange, wrong practice that has been given his name, like the Mahasi method. And one of the characteristics of the Mahasi method is that it does not do the right noble effort. Then what they're doing, they talk about, is investigating the reality of the hindrances, investigating the dukkha.
Mm-hmm.
But here, based upon the suttas and also based upon much stuff that I've gotten from Achan Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, Achan Po, and other noble monks that I have known,
Mm-hmm.
We do not need to investigate the dukkha. We need to avoid it. And so the recent story that I've been telling is, imagine that you were walking down the street on the sidewalk, let us say even in front of your house, and you find a dog turd right in your path. If you're a Mahasi method practitioner, you're going to pick that dog turd up, take it into the kitchen, and dissect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're practicing correctly, you're going to just avoid it. Just get out of the way.
Yeah, it's like if you
And if you're practicing the Vajrayana method of choiceless awareness, you step right in that dog turd and then go clean it off your feet sometime, right?
Yeah.
But the real point of right noble effort is to get out of that right now.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about the past, even in childhood, you can say, wow, I feel good right now, too.
Yep.
Now, I've also told people that it's all right to go reminisce upon the past if you're having trouble finding joy.
Mm.
But once you find it, eliminate the source and experience that joy, that good feeling right here, right now. Now, the word joy we need to actually define. Okay, let's define that. Actually, the word that in the Pali would be the word sukha. Now, the actual word sukha is exactly opposite of the word dukkha. Why? Because sukha actually has the quality of being satisfied, being in a state of satisfaction. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. Not a worry in the world are all words that we would say when we're satisfied. That this is okay. Yeah, it's acceptable. Like you take delivery of something that you've ordered and you say, yeah, I'll sign for it. I'll take this. It's good enough. As opposed to taking it to the complaint department, which is normally what we do with our lives, is we take it to the complaint department. Sometimes that place is in heaven. And we take all of our worries and try to get somebody up there to fix it. But here, we're changing that attitude from things are broken and need to be fixed into things are already, right this very moment, right now, is okay.
Mm. Mm.
Well, if we can be in that particular place, there is no need to become enlightened. A lot of people are looking for something special, and they go to the complaint department and says, I ain't special yet, make me special. But really, the practice that the Buddha recommends is to come out of the dukkha. That's the only teaching that he says is dukkha, dukkha nirodha.
Mm.
And yet the Mahasi method, for instance, is dukkha, dukkha, dukkha. Let me see that dukkha. Let me dissect that dukkha, see that that dukkha is related to this dukkha over here. And oh, that dukkha comes out of my past. And oh, I had a miserable childhood.
Yeah.
And we wind up going down the dukkha rat hole, perhaps far enough that some of the Mahasi teachers talk about a dark night of the soul. The Buddha didn't talk about a dark night of the soul. He talked about coming out of that stuff right here, right now.
Yeah, great.
And so we're enlightened right here, right now. If we are feeling good, we have the sukha. That's it. That's all there really is to it. Now let's define sukha in detail out of the, let us call it out of the Pali Dictionary. One of the qualities is that we feel safe and secure. Now, you did actually mention anxiety. So, if you have the feeling of anxiety, you don't even possibly you don't even know the source of it. But the way to get out of
it's physiological. It's mainly physiological, and I've got a lot of strategies to get out of it. But it's certainly the thing you're saying about safe and security is a really helpful strategy, and it actually is working. Yeah.
So you can actually tell yourself everything is all right now. There's no worries. There's nothing. There's no reason to feel this anxiety. And so we can use the anapana part of that to begin to breathe it out, to take a long, deep breath and to breathe it out, play with it, move around that anxiety, identify it, experience it in the realm of letting it go.
Yeah.
Wow, what a relief it is to not have anxiety.
That's right. And my breathing pattern, I've worked with breathing patterns a lot. My breathing pattern has now changed. I've noticed a different breathing pattern from doing this practice in this way and for longer. So my anxiety levels have dropped down hugely since I've made that correction of my practice. So that's great. I'm on the right track. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. And we can actually in this realm, let's look at it as black and white. I know that there's degrees, there's intensities, there's durations, and all of that kind of stuff. But we can say that while we're practicing, we can see that anxiety and throw it out. So we're looking at it's gone.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, carry on.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I say the positivity is the thing that's added so much fuel to the fire. It's like it's taken the handbrake off and my mind can actually work the way it wants to work to deal with the anxiety because I'm looking at the sukha rather than the dukkha. And that's been the key thing that's made the difference. Rather than focusing on the power pole that the car's heading towards, I'm focusing on the road where I want to be going. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm heading on the road rather than getting stuck in the side. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay. Now, as far as traveling, then we can use that as a bit of an analogy. All right. Let us say that we're in the car and we're heading west and we've left Oklahoma City and we're going to California. All we really need to do is to keep our eye on the road right in front of us. All right. When the monks go out to Buddhadasa, the instruction is to watch where you're going. Notice your footfall. See where you are. You only need to look about 10 to 20 feet in front of you, just enough to see, is there a snake in the road? Is it gravel? Is there a mud puddle? And don't step on that kind of stuff. Find an easy way to practice, but we're not lollygagging. We're not looking at rubbernecking of accidents. We're not looking at the daughter of the woman who's trying to feed us. We just keep the eyes on the path or in the bowl. This is also what they call guarding the senses. Just look at what's immediately in front of us, let us say up to about 5 or 10 seconds ahead. And if you're sitting, there's really no place to look other than this is nice. This is good enough. This is the quality we're looking for. Now, we can also mention to ourselves little things like, especially those who have a lot of anxiety, we can have little things to say like, guess what? There is no Russian mafia at the door. There is no SWAT team. There are no snakes on the floor. There is no problem right now.
Yeah.
Wow, what a relief it is. I got no worries, no problems, and we can begin to feel safe and secure, basically because we're talked ourselves into it, even to the point of singing ourselves a lullaby. Everything is all right. Everything is fine. Let's just be easy going, easy peasy,
Yeah.
hunky dory.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the way that we practice, is by having those kind of wholesome little thoughts that intend to gladden the mind. Now, the words that we're saying are just words, but they have the quality or the intention of changing the mind state that we're in. Now, humans are born as little babies, we're dependent, and we're vulnerable. And what the whole practice of Anapanasati is all about is to come out of our vulnerable position into becoming a champion. The Buddha was known as a lion. So this is what we're looking for, is I feel good. I know I feel good. There is nothing that can pull me out of my feeling good right now.
Good.
Okay. Now, what I'm talking about, go ahead.
I'm also celebrating each in breath and out breath, where my focus isn't so good on a bad day, and I'm finding that really helpful as far as looking at that. I'm fine right here, right now. There's one in breath, there's one out breath. Hooray!
Yes, exactly. Celebration.
That's very good if I'm having a scattered day, because as you know, the weather comes and goes in the mind, but that always brings me back down again quite quickly. So yeah, that's been really helpful.
Right. So the celebration then has the quality of being okay, has the quality of no problems, no worries. It has the quality of not being a victim to my past and my future. Now, as we continue to practice this, we begin to gain confidence that we can do this. We add the confidence. The word in Pali is sada, or in Sanskrit it's shraddha, and that it is absolutely wrongly translated as faith. Why? Because faith has no evidence, but confidence has evidence. I won that goal. I got rid of that anxiety. I am free now. Okay, so it has that quality of confidence, and as the confidence grows, we begin to take on the quality of the attitude changes from the attitude of a victim, oh, poor me, I need to meditate, and the hot diggity dog, I've got this wired.
Yeah.
This is actually the fourth item on the Eightfold Noble Path, and the name of it is Samasankappa, the confidence. The feeling like that you're in charge, that you're the lion here, you're the boss of your life right this very minute. Not forever, but for right this very minute, we've got this.
Right. Yeah, that's been really helpful to keep remembering that. I feel like I'm already at the base camp. You talked about climbing the mountain and making a base camp at one point, and I feel like my base camp is actually pretty solid. But I just have to enjoy the fact that I'm at the base camp. It's fine.
Exactly. That's where it is. This is the base camp, and going to the peak then is the sukha becomes momentarily pity. And the pity is a sense of, wow, this is great. Like, wow, this is really good. It's momentary. We don't stay on the mountaintop, but we do have that thought of, got this. Wow, this is so nice. This is really, really great. And when we have that exuberance, it could give us cold chills. It could give us goosebumps to feel like, I've got this. And we need to continue to repeat that on a regular basis, but we don't maintain it. We just check it out, get there, and then come back down to a base of sukha.
Yeah.
And this is all in the Anapanasati Sutta.
Great. And I think that base camp for me is a place I'm really starting to enjoy and celebrate more, because I've actually, I was there and I didn't know it, if you know what I mean. I was already at that point. Can I just ask one other quick question about strategies for days when the mind wanders more? I use eye gaze. Can you just reflect a little bit on eye gaze? I practice with eyes closed, half open, wider open, and I use that to help sort of pick up my mind when it's either getting overexcited or sluggish. Is there any traps with you changing my gaze like that during the practice to settle the mind?
I would say offhand no, other than become aware of what you're doing in that regard.
Yeah, it's all very consciously done. I'm not just, it's to adjust the mind slightly when things are either overexcited and too much going on, or getting sleepy and drowsy. So I've learned over the years to gently move my gaze and change it, and that lifts me, as well as minor postural changes. So yeah, I don't think there's any problems there, but it's something I do quite often to adjust the mind on a particular moment. Yeah.
All right. Here's something that you can adjust, and that has to do with the attitude. Like, for instance, when the mind wanders away, when it wanders away into things that would create anxiety or doubt or worry or any of that kind of stuff, the trick I will give you is the little phrase, I can do better than this.
Yeah.
Aha, I see you, Myra, is the term that the Buddha used. Aha, I see that. And with that, we can say, I can do better than that. Never mind, start again would be the way that Goenka would say it. All right? We can change that. We can see those hindrances, even if they keep coming back. We can say, got you again. I see that again. I see it again. Aha, I caught you. All right? And so the attitude is that we're playing cat and mouse. That is an interesting game that we're playing, as opposed to this is really important, because it's not. When it becomes really important, then when we fail at it, we feel bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I screwed that up. And the answer is, aha, no, I caught it again. I see it again.
Yeah. If we can't laugh about it, we're in trouble. If I can't see my patterns and not take them seriously and think they're really important when I screw up, then that's a real problem. I'm making a problem out of a problem, basically. So
in fact, the way to talk about it also is to nurture ourselves rather than being critical. That everything you do is okay so long as you see it and you have a choice to stop it.
Yeah, a choice point. Good.
As opposed to being swallowed whole by it. And that's the attitude change again. So when you find yourself being critical of yourself, saying, aha, I see that criticism, and then come back into a nurturing mentality. Everything's okay. Everything is fine. Lullaby and good night. I've got a great big smile on now. Okay. That's the way to do it, is to have a big smile and of joy, of satisfaction. Okay. Now, another quality of sukha is the quality of comfort. So we should practice with our body in a comfortable posture. I know that when people in Western practice see the Asians, they get themselves into uncomfortable postures, and then their knees hurt, or their back hurts.
After many years of practice, one of my knees isn't so good, so I'm very gentle with it now.
Okay.
Chairs are fine. Yeah, I'm not sitting cross-legged nearly as much. I don't have to. It's not necessary. Yeah.
Not necessary. What's necessary instead is to becoming comfortable. Why the Western meditation crowd misses that point, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there are some practices you're forbidden from moving, and just whatever sensations you have, you just sit with them, and I think that's really dangerous and unhelpful. But there are some instructors that talk about, don't move, don't scratch, don't do anything.
Right, but that's not for the beginner, and we can stay in the position of beginners always, not accomplished. So always stay with being comfortable. because it's really hard to feel comfortable when the body is giving you information that it's not comfortable.
One of the main sensations I get after longer sessions when things are very calm and settled is I do get pins and needles in one leg and it sort of goes to sleep. I tend to move. Yeah,
yes.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Exactly. Don't sit there and say pins and needles, or answer crawling, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right. I'm aware of pins and needles. I'm aware of pins and needles. That's not the way to do it.
But rather get the body back into a state of comfort.
Yeah, it's easy when you do it. You do it quickly, no fuss, and you're back into it again. Yeah, good. Okay.
And we can see the sutta evidence from that directly when it's talking about step 4 of Anapanasati is to relax the body, let the body be at rest. Now, I know that the old translators, some of them who didn't really understand what they were translating, would use the word tranquilize. Tranquilize is not a very good word to use. Okay? We don't use restful darts. We use tranquilizer darts. All right? And the animal that is tranquilized is out of it. We're looking at rest or at peace, comfortable, relaxed. This is the state of the body. That in fact, in actually some of the suttas, the first jhana does have that relaxed body as the 6th element, though some of them have only 5 elements. But we're practicing that. And in fact, the whole intention of Anapanasati is to bring the practitioner into the first jhana, which is hallmarked by freedom from the hindrances. The hindrances are gone. We're in a state of sukha. No anxiety, no worries, no frustrations, no discomfort, so that we can get into that state of, this is good enough. This is nice. This is satisfying. Coming into that state of satisfactory is actually the point of the teaching of the Buddha, is to come out of the dukkha, come out of our dissatisfactions, and come into a state of, everything's okay, I'm satisfied. And from there, we bring on that piti, or that competence, or those highs will come from time to time. But when they fall back into a state of comfort, rest, rather than, oh, I want that again, because now we're dissatisfied with the state that we're in. So we always stay with that quality of the state of satisfaction.
Right.
So
I think that's what happened when I first started meditating. I had pity experiences, but I couldn't maintain them, so I lost interest. But then
right, but that's okay, because the fallback is excellent, good enough.
Yeah, I've realised that. I'm an expert at my own mistakes. I've learned so much from just going down these blind alleys and going, that didn't work, so let's try something else. It always fixes itself if you just carry on. Yeah, good.
Counting them all, freedom from the hindrances, being in a state of sukha, everything is okay, occasionally having that piti, and then the next jhana factors would be what they call applied and sustained thought, that in fact we apply the mind to get it into that state, and then we practice trying to maintain it. So let's keep that good feeling going, that's sustaining. And all Westerners, we like high numbers. We want it better and better. $1 bazillion is not enough. I need bazillion dollars.
Yeah.
So if we could come to the state that what we've got is good enough and continue to keep that going, that's then the hallmark of the first jhana. And the last one, number 6, would be comfort of the body, relaxed. Because if the body is relaxed, the feelings relaxed, the mind is relaxed, and this is the whole point. Now we can spend our time recognizing everything is temporary. Yeah, let it go. That hindrance is there. Never mind, start again, and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. That's the whole practice. And that when students have questions, they're in a state of doubt,
Mm.
and the hindrances keep coming back. Never mind, start again. Never
Mm.
mind, start again, or let us ply the mind back to getting it into a good state.
Can I just go back to something you said earlier? You were talking about not being so, that the fixation on sitting practice. I do lying practice when I'm going at night time or just during the day if I'm resting. Even driving, you can stop at a traffic light, or walking mindfully or aware. So there are lots of opportunities for this kind of experience to be practiced all day, really, aren't there? So I can keep doing that, which is what I'm doing already, which is, good.
Yeah, not looking for anything else. What you're doing is good enough.
Exactly. Yeah, good. No, that's great.
But,
I just needed those little pointers. That's really helpful just to make sure that I'm tracking with it, and I am. Fantastic.
yes,
I feel like the handbrakes come off, and my practice is just surging forward now. So I'm really pleased for your help with it. Thank you very much.
great, great. One last point, and that is that the word enlightenment is not in the Pali Canon anywhere. That's a modern term that comes to Western language, but it has some value because it fits in with the Buddha's teaching in a certain way. And that is that there's two kinds of uses for the word enlightenment. One is to shine a light on it, daylight, and that has the quality of seeing, knowledge. All right, we can see what's going on, and when we see what's going on, that's a form of enlightenment.
Yep.
And the next quality of it is that once we see what it is, when we can see the burden, like thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, thoughts of anxiety, then we can drop it. We can relinquish it. We can let it go. We can deliver it. We can lighten up. Okay, so lightening up is the actual outcome of shining a light. Once we see that it's a belt, not a snake, we can let go of it.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I'm finding that definitely I'm able to shine a light now spontaneously on a whole lot of things that were kind of hidden from me and within my own mind, and what's going on around me, and that just seems to happen as a side effect of this practice. A lot of things are coming very clear, and that's been happening for a while. So I think that feels like that's what's happening. That I can understand things quickly and see to the root of what's going on and respond accordingly, and that's been really helpful in my life. So I'm so
all right
about it.
Well, in a way, though, many people practice wrongly in the sense that enlightenment becomes a burden. Why? Because it's something that they want. And one of the big definitions of dukkha is wanting something you don't have. And we could say, if you had a choice about either being enlightened or being satisfied, wouldn't being satisfied be better than enlightened? Just being satisfied, being happy with what you got because you threw it off, you dismounted the burden, and yet many Westerners are looking for something special. Where do we go from here? What comes next? And really the answer to what comes next is the next breath, the next thought, the next feeling of joy, one after another. This is really what we're looking for, is to come into a state of satisfaction rather than looking for a state of special.
And it's the great irony, isn't it? As soon as I stop striving for some idea of a state and just relax and go with what's here, a whole lot of amazing things start happening.
Exactly so.
Yeah, that's it. It was closer than the nose on my face the whole time. Suddenly, I see.
Exactly. It's not a hard practice, but there will come times when it's hard to practice, and the answer to that being hard to practice is, never mind, start again. It was only hard because I had the thought hard. It was only hard because I didn't like it. So all I have to do is change your attitude of, yeah, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the mind wanders away. Never mind. Start again. Bring it back. Let's have our pleasure right here, right now.
There's always another breath. There's always the
There's
next breath.
always just the next breath.
Pick it up the
That's
next time around. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
why don't, Grant, why don't we finish this now? And
Great.
I hope that you call back.
Yeah. Really appreciate talking with you, and I'll join the Sangha talks a little bit more as well. So we'll talk again
Good.
soon.
Yes, you're
Thanks.
quite welcome. We got quite a crowd that are regularly posting.
Yeah,
So,
I'm enjoying spending time with them. Thank you.
excellent. All right. Well, we'll see you.
Take care. See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.